Modes of conscious integration. Reality has a psychophysical nature, in other words, it has both mental and physical aspects. The mental aspects refer to the capacity for awareness, feelings, thoughts, and so on. The physical aspects refer to matter, energy, and so on. Philosophers and scientists have long explored and debated the nature of the connection and interaction between the mental and physical aspects of reality, often referred to as the mind-body connection, as well as the very mechanism by which consciousness arises. An understanding of these issues requires some insight into the nature of quantum physics, and will be addressed in detail in a later part of this exposition, following an exploration of quantum physics. Suffice it to say, for now, that the physical and mental aspects of reality do mutually affect one another. Physical stimuli can have an effect in one's consciousness. One is aware of things which affect one's physical senses. Consciousness can have an effect in the physical world. One can reflect upon the state of one's own consciousness and report about this to others. The activities of all sentient entities, i.e., all entities which experience pleasure and pain, are guided by the experience of pleasure and pain, in such a manner that they are driven toward pleasure, and away from pain. This fundamental inescapable drive is referred to as the pleasure-pain response. The ability to experience pleasure and pain requires consciousness. In fact, sentience, in isolation, is the lowest level of consciousness found in the natural world. Consciousness is an extremely powerful survival tool. The more complex and integrated the information of which an organism is conscious, the more complex and powerful will be its survival activities. Thus the pleasure-pain response operates, or manifests, differently in different creatures, as determined by the nature and complexity of their conscious integration. Conscious integration can be divided into three distinct modes: sensory, perceptual, and conceptual. Non-consciousness. Inanimate objects exist without conscious guidance. They do not feel pleasure or pain, or sensations of any kind. As non-conscious, non-sentient entities, they do not actively seek their own survival, but merely respond to the physical forces which act upon them. The fundamental nature and cause of consciousness will not be addressed at this time. It will be noted, however, that some extremely low level of proto-consciousness may, or may not, exist even in so-called inanimate, fundamental particles. This issue will be addressed in a later part of this exposition. Purely sensory consciousness. The very simplest type of consciousness is purely sensory consciousness, or pure sentience. Pure sentience is characterized by an awareness only of immediately present sensations, with neither memory of the past nor anticipation of the impending future. This is possessed by the very simplest of biological organisms, which carry on survival activities that are too complex to be performed without this minimum level of conscious guidance. Pure sentience allows only for an extremely limited degree of choice, having neither memory of the past nor anticipation of the impending future. All purely sentient choices are nothing other than purely automatic pleasure-pain responses to immediate stimuli. While such automatic pleasure-pain responses do not allow for very complex behavior, such behavior is more complex than would be possible in the complete absence of any consciousness whatsoever. Perceptual consciousness. Above the levels of purely sensory consciousness is perceptual consciousness, i.e., the ability to automatically integrate sensations into percepts. Perceptual consciousness allows organisms to be aware of, and to respond to, various elements of reality as actual entities, objects, creatures, things, etc., rather than merely as non-integrated sensations. This allows for much more advanced survival activities than are available to purely sensory consciousness. A very wide range of organisms exists at the level of perceptual consciousness. These include but are not limited to, such organisms as fish, reptiles, birds, and mammals, including newborn humans. Conceptual consciousness. Human beings, other than newborn babies, or humans with certain serious physiologically based forms of mental deficiency, have conscious faculties beyond those of mere sensation and perception. They also have the faculty for conceptual consciousness. This is not to say that other animals do not also have some limited degree of conceptual ability. Any such ability that they do have, however, is extremely limited in comparison with that of humans. A concept is a mental classification, such that entities with sufficient similarity may be considered as members of a class, while other entities, with sufficient difference from members of that class, are not considered to be members of that class. Conceptual consciousness enables the retention and organization of enormous amounts of concrete and abstract information into integrated concepts, and the further integration of concepts into even higher level concepts. It should be noted that concepts can sometimes be plastic, in the sense that they can change depending upon the context of the situation. The concept of a chair, for example, might typically be thought of as a piece of furniture, having 4 legs and a back, which is suitably shaped for sitting. If a leg breaks off the chair, however, in such a manner as it would not be suited for sitting, and now only has 3 legs attached, it would still be considered a chair, although a broken one. If one comes upon a 3-legged, backless stool, one is very likely to recognize it as a type of chair as well. If one is out in the woods, in the absence of a chair, one may choose to sit on a suitably shaped log, and even begin to refer to it as a chair. If one then builds a fire, and throws the log on the fire for warmth, one typically stops thinking of the log as a chair, and instead thinks of it as firewood, or something similar. This plasticity, or flexibility, of concepts, actually allows for more complex thought, than a rigid adherence to unchanging definitions would allow. Concept formation may thus be viewed as a process similar to theory formation in science. No theory, whether it be called a hypothesis, law, theory, principle, or whatever, is ever really considered to be ultimately, absolutely true. Instead, they are considered to be of varying degrees of reliability. As more and more evidence is uncovered that supports any particular theory, it is regarded as being more and more reliable, but the possibility always exists that some new evidence will be uncovered, which modifies, or even negates the theory. It is similar for concepts, in different contexts, or as new information is integrated, one's concepts will become modified. It is important to recognize that concepts are mental constructs, and as such they are not the same as the things they represent, in much the same way that, for example, the letters CAT on a page spell the word cat, but do not constitute an actual cat. In fact, one of the great errors in human thinking is the confusion of a concept or symbol with the thing it represents. This confusion lies at the heart of much human irrationality and mysticism, and also lies at the heart of many techniques for controlling individuals through their irrationality and mysticism. Human beings form concepts, by their inherent inborn mental nature. Human concept formation, however, may proceed essentially automatically and unconsciously, in a sort of feeling-based approach, or it may proceed under the direction of conscious, intentional guidance, in a much more reason and reality-based approach. Completely reality-based, conscious, intentional concept formation, requires disciplined, honest, mental effort, just as completely reality-based, scientific, theory formation, requires the same.
Thank you for watching. Please help spread our message by liking and sharing this video, and by subscribing to our channel. Please also visit our website, Scionics.org, and register to join the Scio-Society for free. You can also help support our cause directly, by donating through our website. We sincerely hope you will be a part of our effort to bring about the positive revolutionary transformation of the Scionics protocols.